Pasmal. Some of the finest gasoline ever refined. I've never heard of a Pasmal before. Anyway, I wanted to do a video about NEETbux, but in the sort of temporary sense, what's going on. This is interesting. I'm just leaving now. I went to a doctor's appointment, early morning doctor's appointment. It's a whole long story. So, I remember when I was a kid in school learning to write papers and stuff, the teacher would say things like, don't assume that your audience has read your previous papers. You got to explain everything. But I don't feel like explaining everything. You can look at other videos. In December, I tore an artery in my abdomen, my inferior epigastric artery. You can watch a stupid video on that. But today's doctor's appointment is related to something else. So it's like three things are going on. So I'm trying to get temporary disability insurance for the torn artery in my abdomen. So that's one thing. Today, I went to this doctor about 2 years ago, July 3rd of 22. I was working this one job. I had two jobs. I was working one, and it was like a department store, and I had to go to a grocery store overnight. And I'm working in this department store, and it was July 3rd, holiday the next day. The manager was really rushing us out, and in the back room, we call the dock or the bay, because I was at this department store. I was getting ready to leave to go to my nighttime job, and you have several garage doors. Trucks back up into them, and you open the door and unload the truck. There was one, I think there were 4 doors back there. There was one garage door that had a permanent trailer. Picture a tractor trailer. It was just a permanent trailer that the store rented for additional space. It was filled with all kinds of shelving units. It was just a storage trailer that was permanently part of the store. And it was a relatively new trailer. And so someone earlier in the day had left it open, forgot to close it. And the manager was trying to close the store up and rush us out of there. And it was a woman. She goes, oh, someone left it open. You got to go close it. So I said, okay. Because I don't usually go in the trailer. It's mostly just, it would be all kinds of supplies and things like that. But someone left it open, so I went over to close it. And if you've ever opened a trailer door before, if you've ever unlatched and opened a trailer, most of them are a pain in the ass. They're rusted. You got to really fight with the hook and open it up and push them open. Most trailers are, a pain in the ass. But this was the exact opposite. What ended up happening was it was a brand new trailer. Apparently, like a mousetrap. I went to go pull the chains to close the trailer, and somehow boom, slammed right on my right hand. It was my pinky finger. No, my ring finger. The pinky's also affected. It was the ring finger. Bashed on the ring finger. It's pretty bad if you can't remember which finger it is. But the point is, that particular night, I thought I fractured it. It was all red and purple and disgusting and hurt like hell, and it swelled up. I still went on to my other job, and I still worked it. And long story short, I went back and forth for the next month or so, back and forth to a clinic that the department store sent me to. I went to their Workman's comp clinic doctor. And I went there 4 times. And the first 3 times, maybe I'm a bit naive. They kept saying, hey, just do some curls, do some this, do some that. It'll be good as new in no time. And the 4th time I went back, and the doctor, it was a different doctor, says to me, your finger will never be the same again. And to this day, I don't know if you can see, I'll have to show you later. I can't when I make a fist, you can't see it, but the ring finger won't fully bend. It won't fully close. I'll do something later. But so anyway, that was back in 22, July 3rd, 22, day before the 4th of July. And I think at some point, it must have been early 23, I contacted a lawyer to see if I can get any workman's comp out of it. I no longer work there. I got fired. It was a whole other clusterfuck, a whole other, thing. But long story short, so I don't work there anymore, and I was kind of pissed. And I contacted over a year ago, contacted some attorney who work on contingency. And the attorney said, okay, we'll take care of this. And it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of waiting. I'd call the guy. I'd say, listen, I know you're just a lawyer. You want your cut and all that, but can you give me some time frame? Is it going to be a few months, years? How long is it going to take? And he would dodge me. He wouldn't really take my calls. But eventually, sometime in October, I got a letter that, okay, we're ready to take on this case. Remember that this occurred July of 22. I contacted the lawyer around January, February of 23. And then by October of 23, they're finally ready to take on this case. I'd almost forgotten about it. And recently I got a thing in the mail, both from my lawyer and from this medical facility that the Workman's comp lawyer uses. So both said you got to go to this early morning appointment to get your finger looked at. And I remember this was almost 2 years ago, coming like a year and more than a year and a half. And they said you got to go to this appointment, tell them about your finger. So I went there, and it was very brief because they're not on my side. This is, effectively the department stores, workman's comp, lawyers, doctor. But what I did, I was telling the guys, listen, I'm right-handed. I want to pull over here and show you. I'm right-handed, and it's affected my right hand, and I'll never be able to bend and curl. And then he gave me this device, sort of this metal handle thing, and he said, can you squeeze? So I squeezed really tight with my left hand, really tight with the left hand, but I deliberately downplayed the right squeezing. And he said, that's it? You can't squeeze any tighter? I'm like, no, man. And at one point, my pinky finger was extended, because the ring finger that was affected, the pinky was extended. He goes, you got to put your pinky down. So I told him, well, that's part of the injury. Sometimes I extend the pinky to favor. I just want to pull over and show you. To favor, if we look here. Come on. All right, this is my left hand. See, I can make a fist, left hand, fist, all fingers curled, left hand. Look at the right hand. I'm right-handed. Look at the right hand. It was the ring finger. I don't know if you can see. I'll never be able to curl that again. It will never fully curl. That will never curl. It's still sensitive. Sometimes I'll extend the pinky to try to compensate. At least that's what I told him. It'll never curl. He started doing tests. He started touching the top and the bottom. And I said, well, it doesn't really hurt here. When you start, rubbing the top of the finger, it's sensitive. And I probably did overplay it a bit, but hey, he's not on my side. So I overplayed it a bit, but it's ultimately the truth. It'll never be the same again. There was one thing, I didn't bring this up in the doctor's office, but I had to fill out these forms. And it said something like, what hobbies or activities did you used to do that are now affected because of this injury? And I wrote down archery. I can't pull the bow back. I'm not in archery, but I figured, fuck it, because this would be an inconvenience for archery. For the most part, I could still use I can use the hand. It's not the total end of the world, but it'll never be the same. And I was lied to. I went to their free clinic. Oh, it'll get better. It'll be 100% back to new. And I guess I wanted to believe that. And then a month and a half or so after the injury, the doctor told me, this is like summer of 22, it'll never be the same again. I'm like, what? But the point of this is, so right now in my life, I'm trying to get temporary NEETbux for my disability, which I think is, that's a whole other can of worms. So, I know I'm kind of babbling, but I don't feel like explaining everything. If you know who I am, if you know anything about me, temporary disability for the Christmas, December 23, abdominal artery injury. So that's the most recent. This is a previous injury going back to the summer of 22. But the lawyer told me after they make a report, it might take a few weeks. He's going to try to ask for, like $7,500 or $8,000 or something like that. They highball, lowball, back and forth. He was telling me some claims adjusters can get really petty and they take it very personally. They want to fight tooth and nail. Other claim adjusters say, let's just settle this as quickly as possible. Like, you throw out a number, let's say $8,000. They'll counter with, I don't know, $5,000, or you meet in the middle. So, and I asked him, I said, well, I know you can't commit to anything. You can't, I can't quote you, but in your experience, with an injury like this, how much do people usually make? And he was quick to say, well, I take 20%. I'm like, yes, I know, you get your cut. That's great. How much of a, what are we getting? What are we getting? You're 20%. What are we getting here? And he said, well, even if I looked at every hand injury from every retail job, every case is different, so I can't quantify it. But it looks like $10,000 is, of course, out of the question. But he wants to go for the 75, maybe $8,000 in total. I'm not gonna get that, but hopefully I get a few $1,000s out of this. So I'm trying to get temporary disability for my torn inferior epigastric artery from Christmas. I'm also trying to get the department store damaged ring finger. But here's sort of the good sign. I don't usually believe in signs, but something else happened. I think it was last summer, so we'll go back to the summer 23. I got a little postcard in the mail, and it said something like, oh, the grocery store you worked at it was a ShopRite. ShopRite's a grocery. It's a cooperative franchise here in the Northeast. ShopRite grocery store, supermarket. They said, something went wrong with the payroll, and there's some lawsuit, and I'm not even sure how it works. And I didn't have to sign anything. It just said, you may be affected by this. We'll keep you posted. I forgot all about it. Recently in the mail, like a couple days ago, I get a check. The check was for $95.50, something like that. So nothing spectacular, but I was looking over, they actually took out like 50 cents for taxes. But it was something weird, like I think I got compensated $1 something, plus, $94 for interest and whatnot. And I don't even know when this lawsuit goes back to. I don't know much about it. I should look into it further. When the postcard came in the mail, I just sort of disregarded it. I said, okay, that's great. So anyway, that's a good sign. And I went to go deposit my supermarket $95 check. I went to go deposit it, and I've been out of work since Christmas. I go back to work soon, but I went to the bank, deposited the check, and lo and behold, there was like thousands of dollars, like $5,000 in my account that wasn't there before. So I realized, holy shit, my temporary disability finally came through. And with the temporary disability, it was a whole big clusterfuck. I didn't want to go through that stupid story. The state of New Jersey subletted it out to a private company called the Hartford Group, because the furniture store used them, but I had other jobs. In fact, this department store job was one of the jobs. In the state of New Jersey, you have what are called base periods. Think of the 12 months in a year. January, February, March is the first period. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So whatever period you have your injury in doesn't count. And for some reason, don't ask me why, according to the state representative I spoke to, the last completed quarter doesn't count either. So they go back 4 quarters. They take into account 4 quarters, but not the one you're currently in when you're injured, which I guess makes sense. But neither do they take in the last completed quarter. So, for instance, I had my injury Christmas Day. Couldn't work. Tore my inferior epigastric artery in my abdomen. Couldn't work. Okay, so that was the last, that quarter would have been October, November, December. So it wouldn't matter if I had my injury October 1st or December 31st. Any time within that quarter doesn't count. So all the work I did in October, November, and pretty much all December doesn't count. That whole quarter, unless you complete a quarter, the quarter is out. So October, November, December doesn't count. Again, doesn't matter if it was October 1st or December 31st. Anywhere in that 3-month period, that quarter doesn't count. But they also don't count the quarter before, which would be July, August, September, my last completed quarter. They don't use that either, so that gets thrown out. So they go back to the 4 quarters prior. So let me do the math here, if I got it right in my head. That would be the last 2 quarters of 22 and the first 2 of 23 is what they're factoring in. And during that time, this would be July of 2022, through the end of June 2023. During that period, I had multiple jobs at the supermarket. I had the department store, had another supermarket, currently have, well, not currently working, but the jobs I was working when I went down, the furniture store, so that's 4, and there was a 5th job. I tried to work at this computer place for a couple days, but I didn't like it. It was standing around wiping the memory banks of recycled laptops, and I just didn't like it. I felt like it was in a warehouse, and I was just sort of standing there, and I told the guy, I said, nice guy, hired me. I said, listen, I appreciate it, but I don't think it's going to be for me. And he said, no, that's cool. So that, they report, I only worked there a couple days. They reported the department store. I had my injury in July 3rd, 22. I ended up getting fired from there in September. I think part of it was they wanted to get rid of me because I was the workman's comp guy. They fired me in September 22. But the point is, that job is any job I had from July of 22 through the end of June 23 is supposed to be factored in to my current claim. I know I'm kind of babbling, it's hard to follow, but I don't care. So they're all factored in my claim. And apparently that department store job, which I left in September, the one where I injured my finger, I left it in September of 22. They failed to somehow report my earnings to the state, or they failed to, so the state of New Jersey was able to provide this current, I feel like I want to articulate. remember when I was a little boy, my father would bark at me, "You don't articulate, I can't understand a word you're saying." I used to get this, I have these psychological hang-ups, these boyhood, childlike hang-ups. Currently, at the time of my injury, I had 2 jobs, one in a grocery store. The name of the grocery store, I'll tell you, it's called Wise, W-I-S, Wise Supermarket, not the ShopRite. I also quit ShopRite, I think December of 22, because the finger injury was bothering me. Plus, there's a whole bunch of can of shit going on there. So it seemed like the right thing. I just got another shit job. So effectively, the department store, the ShopRite, the Wise grocery store, and the furniture store, and that little computer place. These 5 jobs are all supposed to be factored into my temporary disability payment. I feel like George W. Bush. All right, they're all supposed to be factored in, and what happens is, because the state is subletting it out to the Hartford Group, which is what the furniture store uses, the Hartford Group is supposed to do the clerical work, but do it the way the state of New Jersey wants it. And I said, how do you have an outside company? And again, they're all based in California, and you get these call centers in the Philippines. They know nothing about, Filipinos know anything about workman's comp and American law, and the Californians don't know anything about Jersey law. They're just, for them, it's usually very straightforward. I guess if you have a job, let's say you have one job, you work at, get a career, and you've been with this job 10, 20 years, and you injure yourself, and this one job you have uses the Hartford Group or any other private group. It's, in that situation, it's all very cut and dry, straightforward. When you're a fucking loser like me who goes from job to job, minimum wage shit job to shit job, you've now got to do all this math. And the state of New Jersey requires the math, but they're not going to do the work themselves. They're going to have, this temporary disability group do it. And the Hartford Group, and the Hartford screwed up. At one point, they're like, okay, you're in New York, right? These are all on West Coast. Man, I'm in California. I said, no, man, New Jersey. All this is Jersey. Oh, well, it has here as New York for some reason. Oh, Christ. So the whole thing was a big clusterfuck. But long story short, I managed to call a couple days ago, and I got some dude, again, in the Philippines. None of these, that's another thing. The American claims adjuster or claims adjusters are all on the West Coast, and my case was reassigned several times. The first time I got a black lady. I'm your claims adjuster, but I'm gonna be out on leave for the month of March. Then I got some other lady, it was Martinez lady. Oh yeah, I took over and she couldn't follow it. Then it was given to this third one, but she's not calling me back. And then the old claim was shut down, but a new one was started on my behalf. And I was like, what? Do I have to re-provide all that information? Because like I said, I had to report. I had to provide doctor's reports. It's all. What the hell? Let me just babble about it. When I first applied for temporary disability, I went, you go through the state of New Jersey. They gave me a form. They said, give this form to your doctor. He'll fill it out on the computer, and he'll submit it. So I did that. That was back in January. Then sometime in I had to wait. They said, you got to wait like 6 weeks. That was in Christmas Day, I had my injury. Went to a follow-up appointment in January. Was applying for temporary disability. I had to wait till the end of February for the state to tell me, one of your employers has a private plan, so you got to use them instead. Now, the private plan wants their own doctor's report. So I had to go back to the doctor's office. Fortunately, I got lucky. The doctor did eventually. It was a big clusterfuck. They faxed, the Hartford Group faxed it to the doctor, but it's a fucking clinic, and these idiots who work the front desk, they lost it. So I managed to get, I think this is my second claims adjuster, to send me the form. I said, send me a blank PDF. And she agreed. And I was able to print it up myself, bring it in, and I said, to the secretaries at the doctor's office, I said, here is the form, fill it out, please call me when you have it, don't try to fax it, I'll take care of it. And that worked. It took a day, but so now this doctor, he already filled this out in January for the state. He's now filling out a separate but different report for this private insurance company. But he did it, went through, I scanned it, emailed it as a PDF. I also had to provide, like I said, I had the 5 jobs. The state of New Jersey provided the information for 4. Well, first of all, this private company is affiliated with the furniture store. So the private company has all the furniture store information. The 2 supermarkets and the little computer job all provided information. The department store, where I bashed my finger back in 22, did not for some reason report, which is very odd. Fortunately, I had a bunch of stubs, paper paycheck stubs, so I was able to find all the ones pertaining to the period in question. Remember, my base period begins in July 1st of 22 and goes to the end of June 30th of 23. So I was able to do that, and I was able to scan them and send them in. So basically I have to provide a bunch of information for this this claim. So to find out a few days ago that I have a third claims adjuster now, and she's not answering my call, and they're all in California land, and they don't know anything about Jersey law, and they're not answering my call. I'm getting these call centers in the Philippines. I started flipping out at this Filipino dude. I'm like, look, this is bullshit. Why didn't anyone call me? Why am I getting calls? I said I provided all this information. I provided, the pay stubs from the one job that failed to report, the department store job. I scanned them. I scanned my doctor's report. Has all this been lost? Why was a new claim opened up? I was livid, and I said, listen, dude, it's not your fault. I get it. It's not you. I'm just frustrated because, and he was just some dude in the Philippines, probably getting paid, $4 an hour to take these phone calls because the Hartford group, But anyway, a long-winded ramble. And again, with these base periods, they're complicated enough, as a Jersey resident, trying to explain it to a Californian or a fucking Filipino. It's like, it's convoluted. I understand. It's like I have to know how it works because it affects me. It doesn't affect these people. So I get it. I understand why they might not, care as much. And it is fucked up. In theory, the state of New Jersey should be doing it. But long story short, it was like a miracle all at once. Like I said, I got there are three things. We're talking about three things. Three temporary NEETbux from three different things. I got my check from the supermarket lawsuit. That was with ShopRite. ShopRite's a cooperative franchise. Wakefern's the distributor. There are many different. There's like the Village ShopRite. That's one company. The other is in this area, Saker ShopRite. They're all franchises, so it's not one big company, but it's a cooperative. But apparently this lawsuit affected anybody who worked for any of these franchises. So I got my $95 check out of nowhere. Wasn't expecting it. $95 check from ShopRite. Then I went and I found finally my ship came in. I got thousands of dollars in back pay for temporary disability from my battle with the state and with this private group through the furniture company. And now, out of the blue, I'm getting my third thing for the department store job where I bashed up my finger. So it's like, all right, so on the same day I got my ShopRite check, I also got all of my furniture store temporary disability monies. Well, it's not just the furniture store. I had to go through the private company, the private plan, but it was supposed to be all, and the money looks good, it looks accurate. And the Filipino guy was able to, in other words, the Filipino guy is doing the job that the California claims adjuster should be doing. California claims adjuster is ducking me, I'm calling, leave messages. The Filipino guy was able to read me like a script, but it made sense. He goes, okay, according to the computer here, you will get, for some reason, by the way, I was injured on December 25th. They have it in the system as the 26th. I know that's because Christmas is a holiday and you can't count Christmas, or if they fucked up, but it's really not worth fighting for the one day. He said from December 26th through, I think it was February 22nd, you'll get one lump chunk payment. And then from February 23rd through March 23rd or March 22nd, you'll get a second lump sum payment. And then we'll keep paying you every Friday, every week until I think it was April 21st is when they said I can go back to work. So I should get some monies. And it all happened at once. It's almost like, wow, the fortune cookie. I got my little $95 pittance from ShopRite, which I wasn't expecting. Then I got my thousands of dollars for temporary disability, which I'm entitled to, but took months. Since December this has been going on. It took over 3 months. And now, this third one, the department store, I might get some kind of compensation. The lawyer was saying, again, they're going to ask, I should call them back. He doesn't like to answer his phone either. But he said it might take a few weeks for... I asked this doctor here, this doctor dude I saw, I said, listen, do I get a copy of this report? He said, no. It's almost like he doesn't want to say too much. He's like, no, this will be forwarded to the party that... I said, okay. I said, but I guess my lawyer, because this is a workman's comp. My lawyer, he said, yes, your lawyer. I said, fine. And I didn't expect anything, because this doctor isn't my buddy. He's working for the department store. He's working for their claims, workman's comp claims. So of course they're not on my side. But it didn't hurt to ask. Is there any kind of documentation just to have? But no, they don't provide that. It was a brief, I'm all over the place. It was a very brief, I should switch lanes here. It was a very brief, I was there for maybe not even 10 minutes. I'd say 7. I think I clocked it at 7 or 8 minutes. And but yeah, like I said, on the form I wrote I was an archery, but now I can't do that. So there was that, but there was also, what do you call it? The squeeze test, I probably could have squeezed harder, but I don't want to. And I'm not lying, it does still hurt, and and not painful, but it'll never be the same. I'll never be able to curl or make a fist with my right hand. I'm right-handed, so it's. I just tried, and he even said to me, he goes, I said, okay, do you need anything? I said, do you need any other information from me? And he said, no, good job. Almost like, I mean, I don't know what to infer from that. Good job as if, okay, between the lines, I'm not on your side. I guess you did a good job, unless you're just patronizing me, a good job presenting your case and pretending to be, injured or whatever. Not pretending, but displaying injury, So I don't know. We'll see what comes. It seems like all of a sudden, in April of 2024, it's all this temporary NEET monies from 3 different sources. ShopRite check, temporary disability insurance, and now possibly, hopefully, it might take a few weeks, but they're supposed to file a report, and maybe I'll get something from the busted finger from the department store. What else is I going to say? So I don't want to ramble too long. We know when videos turn to hour-long things, it becomes like, Jesus H. Christ. See, I don't usually go this way because there's no need for me to, but I had to go to the stupid doctor, and it just, I know where I am, it's just, I would never normally be over here. It's just a waste of my fucking time. Let's make a U. This is called the jug handle. I just took what's called the jug handle. Here in Jersey, you have a jug handle in traffic, no left turn. And I'm going to make a U to go that way. I don't realize traffic would be so backed up, but it is. Or maybe we'll just go this way. I'll go for a little drive. But, somebody died there. There's a whole big shrine memorial. In fact, let's go back and look at it. You here. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, I don't believe in signs, but it's a good, I guess it's a good sign, or for once, like, my life is shit. It's like, you go, you step forward 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, then you go back 4 or 5 steps. At least this was all at once, a nice little windfall. But maybe it foreshadows. See over here, I don't know if you can see this. Somewhere over here. There's this. Quite the shrine. Instead of just a cross or a flower, it's a whole fucking shrine to some dude, some guy named Jerry. What is this? Is this right here?